Welcome to another episode of Eat, Smoke, Drink, Coffee Edition. Alright, it's morning, just been for a morning run, and I was jonesing and I was having withdrawal symptoms from my coffee, but I always like to wait in the morning before I have my coffee because I want to prove to myself that I can stop any time, that I'm not a junkie. Anyway, today I am going to review, exciting, I'm going to review my very first honey processed whiskey. Honey processed whiskey has nothing to do with honey from what I gathered. I don't know why it's called honey. Can someone tell me please? But it's got nothing to do with honey. Honey process is a slightly different process to natural and anaerobic. What they do is when they get the bean, they deskin the bean, and with most of the mucilage left in the bean, they take it out to dry it over a 2 to 3 week period. So it's slowly drying and developing flavor from the sugars and from the whatever the shit the mucilage gives the bean. Okay, so that's a very different process to just you're washed straight away washing the bean. Very different process. The bean appearance, it looks more of a medium roast, closer to medium than light to medium. Very consistent coloring from this roastery, but the beans, what I love about it is that you get massive ones and tiny ones. The difference in some of the small beans and the big beans is almost 60-70%. I love the look of that. What that does as well is that it gives you a more rustic flavor, because some beans will roast faster than others due to the mass, and that's going to always be a better experience, in my opinion, a more boutique and more bespoke experience. If you want a generic experience, well, life is boring. Fuck that. Anyway, this is a plot by an estate called Norbey Quimbayo. Norbey Quimbayo. Norbey Quimbayo. Quim. Well, Quim. Norbey Quimbayo, Colombia. This particular farmer used to grow for other farms as well. And recently he's purchased more land for himself. 5 out of 12 hectares he does single origin specialty coffee, which basically is paying better dividends for him because, you know, demands more of a premium per kilo, per pound of bean, which is, you know, for the rest of the world, it really isn't that much more. I guess if you're a business trying to peddle as much coffee as you can, it does add up. But if you're someone like me who has 2 cups a day, it is literally within the cents of the difference with a single origin and a generic shitty supermarket blend. Okay, and yes, I'm being a coffee snob as I am a whiskey snob. Okay, so I make no apologies, so shut up. Let's get nosing the beans. That is funky and weird. It is very, very weird. It is kind of similar to the anaerobic and EF2 process weirdness. Very different to a washed. It's meaty, it's fatty, like a sirloin steak that's been fried, and then you take the cap right in the end and you fry the cap and all the splashes of oil. And then that oil, that beef fat starts dry around your stove area. I usually hate that around my stove area, but in this, it's somehow pleasurable. It's got a dank smell to it, like when you've got a blanket that's been sitting in a chest for a while and it gets wet and it's got that dankness. Leathery, smoky, like a distant firewood smoke. Now, I'm not sure if the smokiness is from the roasting process or from the beans itself revealing itself in the roasting process. I'm not sure. Maybe there was a forest fire somewhere and the beans got infused with smoke. Who knows? I know with wine that can be a factor. There's a strangeness to it that I cannot describe, but just like the 200-hour anaerobic and the EF2, it smells like heavenly garbage. It smells like heavenly garbage. It's like, it's like going to a dumpster. It's like dumpster diving behind a bakery. It's like, you shouldn't go dumpster diving, period. But dumpster diving behind a bakery and then getting all of that baked shit, even though it's 2-3 days old, you're wallowing in it. It just smells good. It's like dumpster diving behind a bakery. Shouldn't smell good, it shouldn't be good, but it just is. It just is. It's leathery, freshly tanned leather, lightly tanned leather. I know this sounds weird, but it also smells like wet newspaper. Meaty, funky, wet newspaper, wet paper. Heavenly garbage dumpster diving. How's that to attract you to the honey process, huh? How's that? Anyway, this roastery is Viking Coffee in New Zealand. Of course, I will link them below always. Viking Coffee, my first Viking coffee. And just so you know as well, my next coffee review after this is going to be a Geisha coffee by Viking Coffee. Then after that, it'll be another honey process. So the Geisha coffee is my first Geisha coffee. I said I wasn't going to do it yet, but I couldn't resist. I couldn't keep it in my pants. So I had to get that. Anyway, let's get nosing. That is weird. That is weird. It smells like cough syrup, burnt sugar. It's herbal, it's medicinal, like really, really medicinal. Licorice, clove, a little bit of aniseed, black pepper. I know this sounds weird, but it's got a little bit of a fresh ginger smell to it. Like when you're grating ginger, you're about to make some Korean fried chicken. Korean fried chicken. And you're like grating some ginger, and you get that waft of ginger. It's really quite prominent. Then the meatiness comes through, that beef fat, that beef funky. Wet leather. So imagine you're in a low and slow smoker, you're smoking the shit out of this fatty brisket, and you're like flipping it and fat spraying on your apron, your leather apron, because you got to have a leather apron when you're low and slow smoking. And then you get that apron wet. It smells like a skin ointment. It is so medicinal, I don't even know how to describe it. It smells like skin ointment, like you know when you have a cut and you get that ointment from, I can't even describe it, just like an ointment you put in cuts from the pharmacy. It's really strange. Wow, what a different smelling whiskey. And I say that with every with every coffee that I get, because I just push my boundary every time. But I'm gonna go back to washed, and I'm gonna go back to natural, I'm gonna go back to all this shit. So it's all gonna be coming full circle. I'm gonna try to get as many of the roasteries in New Zealand as I can before I leave the country. Alright, it says on the description, fig blackberry molasses. I get the molasses, like a burnt sugar. I don't know if it's molasses or not, but a burnt sugar, a smoky sugar. And the fig, I don't get that, but blackberries, I definitely get the blackberries without the sugar. So a very tart and sour blackberry turned into a jam, but someone forgot the sugar. %, cocoa chocolate. A very complex coffee, an extremely complex coffee. Bittersweet, like that cocoa, 80% cocoa chocolate bar. I'm not talking about American candy bars, you know, shit. Those aren't even chocolate. Like what cocoa content is in there? Probably nothing. It's probably scraping someone's butt. I'm talking about proper cocoa, like Lindt, 80% chocolate, okay? Lindt 80% chocolate or something similar. Let's get sipping. Not to insult American candy bars, there's room for candy bars, okay? But I'm just saying, not that candy bar shit. Very strange. Very strange. Getting cold. Very strange. Definitely herbal, definitely medicinal, spicy. Slightly spicy, but extremely medicinal and herbal. very viscous, coats the mouth. Mouthfeel is fantastic. It's oily, it's thick and viscous on the mouthfeel. The meatiness can't escape you. There's a funkiness, a proper funkiness that is just prevalent, and I love it. It's like a rotting cloth. It is so strange. Like I say, it's like dumpster diving behind a bakery. You shouldn't be loving it. You shouldn't be loving it. But you are. It's just weird. You know, it's just weird. Wow. Definitely licorice. There's a small medium roast, medium roast. It's got a slightly more bitterness, but the bitterness is really delicious. It's quite well balanced with the earthiness and the very, very small amount of sweetness and that chocolatiness coming through. It is absolutely fantastic, this coffee. It is delicious, absolutely delicious, but I don't think that this is a coffee for someone who just enjoys your standard coffee flavor. I said that with the anaerobic as well, but this is even more so. This is a little bit, actually no, this is a lot left field, I'm gonna let it sit here for a few days before touching it again, but I am loving it, and the more I push the boundaries and the processes, the better it is. I've actually acquired some green beans, and I'm going to eat it, shit it out, and then roast it myself. No, I'm kidding, I won't do that, but I could. I was considering civet coffee, but I'll see if I do that. But if you want me to review civet coffee, please let me know, and I'm gonna go out of my way to try and get some. Fantastic. Until next time, make sure you eat, smoke, drink, and caffeinate. Cheers.